How to be an actor and sustain a career is not an easy thing, especially with the contraction of work. So Felix has been around a long time, and he's going to tell you all the ways that you too can make that possible. So round of applause for them. They will introduce themselves, give you a little backstory, and I will see you at the end of this to say goodbye and thank you. And let me turn your microphones on for you. They're all different, because, you know, why would we? 501c3, right? Oh, these two are, okay. There you go. Thank you, and thank you.
Thank you so much,
Oh, yeah,
Linda.
make sure your phones are turned off.
Yeah, oh, this is really quiet, yeah? Can you hear me?
You want to try a different one?
Do you want to?
Well, maybe it's just supposed to be really intimate. Maybe
No, I'm just working. I'm working for my diaphragm. So.
And I'm so loud.
Not
I think
working
that
for my
one.
diaphragm at all.
Okay, this sounds so much better. Thank you.
Are just so quiet.
Are we?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, I did not need audience participation on that one. My biggest op in the front row. It's good to see you, Ava. Okay, so I want to introduce myself, and then I would like to hand it over here, and I'm so excited. Okay, my name is Adetinpo Thomas. I am an Atlanta-based actor and producer. I'm 5'7", if we're giving you the full slate. I am an instructor at Georgia State University. I also teach at Drama Inc., and I have had the opportunity to be in some really cool projects. I'm technically a Marvel superhero, and I'm in the DCU as well. And we just most recently in the Color Purple movie musical. And last year, the short I produced and starred in was the winner of the Best Georgia Short. It was directed by my sister, Adetinpo Thomas. If you're not a fan, become one. And she is now the artist in residency for the Atlanta Film Festival. So I'm very proud of her. It's in the family. And I would love to hand it over to Felix. I would love to hear whatever preamble you're willing to give us, and then we'll dive in.
My name is Felix Solis. My middle name is Angel. My mom called me Angel because I was born in the backseat of a cab on 73rd and Columbus in New York on the Upper West Side. I was my mother's sixth, so by the time I came around, she hailed a cab on the corner. She said, "Take me to the hospital." I said, "Why don't we do it right now?" And I was born there. So she prayed and said, you know, if this one comes out healthy and happy and beautiful, I know he's an angel sent. So my middle name's Angel, Felix Angel Solis. Born and raised, mostly. 9 years old, I moved to Greenwich Village and Chelsea, so the Chelsea-Greenwich Village area. I was born in '71, so that's all urban blight, that's all birth of hip-hop, that's all birth of art, pop, Keith Haring, Jean-Michel Basquiat. These were my neighbors and friends. The Beastie Boys were my babysitters. Like, this was where I grew up. And I am grateful to my father for that one, because my dad, my mother, superintendents, workers, moppers, sweepers, cleaners, and they were given a choice to be a superintendent of a building on the Upper West Side, Spanish Harlem to be specific, 110 and Lenox, and then they were given the option to do 15th between 8th and 9th at Greenwich Village. So my father took us to both and said, maybe this feels a little better for them, a little safer for them. So because of him, I grew up in a bohemian artistic environment. So I want to say I'm a product of my environment 100%. And that's it. I started working in theater because my mother worked 3 jobs, and her third job was from 3 to 6 p.m., when I got out of school. We couldn't afford a babysitter. She threw me in the only free program that there was, and that happened to be an arts, painting, dancing, singing, musical theater, improv, after-school program. So out of necessity, she threw me into that one, because she's like, that's free, go there. And I grew up in that. I grew up in the theater, I grew up on the boards, as they say. Most of my early experience was theater. And then I became a member of the Labyrinth Theater Company in '94, which helped establish me and the company as an actor who is taking it seriously. And that's it. And then, a buddy of mine, Benny Nieves, loved him to death. He went to an audition for a TV show called New York Undercover. So mix between, a procedural cop drama and a basically MTV music video. And it really was, that's kind of their hook, and they had it, it was well. He went to audition for a role there. He had just seen me do a production of Pericles at the Brooklyn Bandshell in Brooklyn, summer stage. And then he auditioned, then he told the casting director, look, I don't think I'm right for this part, but I just saw a guy who I know who is, and he doesn't have an agent, but here's his phone number, call him. And that casting director took my number, called me, I got cast, and that's how I started my television career, thanks to Benny. And here I am, almost 29 years. I'm pushing 30 years professionally, where I got my SAG card almost 30 years ago. And here I am. Here I stand. And here I sit. With the one goal in mind, which is to share how I was able to continue for 28 years and will continue until the universe says it's time to go, So that's me.
Okay, so I have a whole list of questions that are
Fire away.
probably largely selfish. So at some point, we will open it up here, because I bet we could ask questions for quite a while from the audience. So you grew up in New York, and you started doing theater. Shout out to the after-school program. When you started doing film and TV, did you still feel like theater was an option for you?
Oh, absolutely. Theater was my survival job, to be very frank. Theater was what I chased and went after. I could do that on my own, right? I could do Backstage. I could open up Backstage, which was a publication back in the 80s, 90s. Probably still on the internet now. But in the back, there were a list of theater companies that were auditioning plays and the roles that they were looking for. And you would show up and you'd sign yourself up on a list. And then you'd prepare your dramatic monologue and your comedic monologue, and you would perform it, and if they liked you, they'd cast you. And that's what I did, thanks to my mother's encouragement, instead of taking tables and bartending. I just chased that. And so I continued to do that, always continued to do it, until it became comfortable for me to walk away from the day job. But that, to me, was my day job. Because my mother said to me, she said, look, you can take tables and you can bartend, and that's great, you're going to sustain it. You're going to be able to survive, and you'll feed yourself. But what's going to happen on the day that you get an audition at 9 a.m. and you just got out of work at 4 a.m., right? Because last call in New York is 4 a.m., which means if you're lucky, you get cut at 3:30, 4 o'clock, and you go. If not, you're there until 5:30 until you're done. And then you got to go to this audition at 9 a.m. the next day. And she's like, that doesn't make any sense. She literally said, that's not sustainable, right? And so she said, so if there's any way for you to work, put your focus on working on getting a job that is inside of the world and supports in some way what you're trying to do ultimately, go for it. And that's where I found teaching artist work. This is where I got involved with NYU, and we did a lot of conflict resolution workshops. I got involved with Manhattan Theater Club, who had an educational program where I taught on Rikers Island, which is a prison in New York, and I taught all of the adolescent kids there. ARDC, the Adolescent Rehabilitation and Detention Center on Rikers Island. When we were lucky enough to have a security guard that was kind enough to want to change these kids' lives and let us through the gates in the morning. We would go in and we would teach them writing. I worked with a playwright. The playwright would teach them how to write a play. I would then come in and show them the process of the actor and what they do to prepare a role that has been written. And those were my survival jobs. So theater, the whole way. Yeah.
I don't think I'm being hyperbolic when I say that's not a thing anymore.
I don't know what that word means. What is that word?
Exaggerating.
Okay. Uh-huh.
That's not, we can't do that now.
Yeah.
But I love that you didn't have, so I'm Nigerian. And another African in the room immediately understands where I'm going with this. My mom still wants me to be a real estate agent.
Sure.
You feel me?
No, I do,
So
love, I
here,
do.
like,
I do.
talk to me
Yeah.
a little bit about your family's investment and support, because for that to be the start of this and then this, like, the sustaining
Yeah,
factor, I mean,
sure,
just if I could
sure.
live vicariously through your healthy childhood.
I got lucky. I got lucky with a mom who, my dad's only thing was stay out of prison, right? He said, excuse my French, guys. He said, I don't give a shit what you do. Just stay out of prison. Because if you end up in prison, then your life is over. So that's the simple thing I need you to do. And then when I told him I was going to be an actor, because I got a presidential scholarship to study theater at Marymount Manhattan College, it didn't go anywhere because they tried to change me, and I couldn't. I had to resist that change, so I left early in school. But part of the sustainability process, which is when you feel like you're getting outside of who you are individually and who makes you who you are as an individual inside of the industry, you're pulling away from sustainability, because what you're doing is you're making yourself invisible to the industry. And so they were trying to do that. I got a book called Speaking with Distinction by Edith Skinner, and I was lips, the teeth, the tongue, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Right? So, Edith Skinner was the yeah. No, but it just changed me. But to your question, she said to me, my father said, stay out of prison, and my mother said, she said 3 things to me before I went to bed every night. She said, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. She said, if you can think it, it's possible. I know because I've done it. I think it, and it's possible. And she said, and thirdly, and most importantly, she said, you are going to find yourself, she'd say this every night before I went to bed. She said, you're going to find yourself in a world where you feel alone, where you feel by yourself, where you feel like nobody gets you, nobody understands you. And you need to remember this every single time, like a little kid in bed like this. But she would say, you need to remember this always in those moments. Your father and I made a choice to have you. We looked at each other and we said, you and I are going to go into this room and we are going to make a baby. And we're going to bring a human being into the world. So no matter what, you were wanted. Always. You will always have been wanted. So this is what happens when the little boy is listening to this stuff and he goes like this, and then he goes over to an audition and someone says, you're too short. I go, no, but I'm wanted. Someone says, no, you sound like you're from the Bronx. And I go, yeah, but I'm wanted. I just kept reminding myself of that. And I continue to this day. Just yesterday, I came across a situation where I said to myself, no, but I'm wanted. Just yesterday, and I'm 54. So yes, I had them there for me in that regard, and they were like, well, you're going to go and do this anyway. The whole point of the story with my dad is that when I told him that I got a presidential scholarship to study theater at Marymount Manhattan College, I said, and he goes, well, let me understand this. And I said, yeah. He goes, so they want to pay you to do that? And I said, yeah. And he goes, okay, well, this is a carpenter, a plumber, an electrician, a mechanic, okay? He looked at me, well, if they're, stupid enough to give you money to do it, you should be smart enough to take it, so take it, right? So take it. But that was my parents. Those were my parents. And so that's what I grew up in. And that's what I had as a reference. Doesn't mean you have to have that kind of parents to sustain. It just means that that's where I was from. But the truth of the matter is that if there's anything that will serve that purpose, it is that we are, and Neil deGrasse Tyson put it best. He said, just the fact that you were born is a miracle in and of itself. The simple fact that you are here is a miracle in and of itself, right? So we don't need mom and dad to say you are worthy. Just if you allow yourself the moment to go, just the fact that I made it that far is worthy of me being here. And if it's worthy of me being here, then it's worthy of my time for you. And if it's worthy of my time for you, then it's worthy of being seen. And if it's worthy of being seen, you sustain throughout the career. Because it's the ideology, it's the mindset that allows for us to sustain throughout this career. It just is. It is. Yes, there are other important things, technically. Make sure you work, learn about finances, learn about money, because you're going to need it. You're going to know, because my wife has this fantastic phrase where she says, learn about money now, because when you get it, you're not going to have time to know what to do with it. You won't have time to know. So learn now. If you don't got it, learn now, so that when it comes, you know what to do with it, because you're not going to have time to spend it. You're not going to have time to do things with it. So yes, there are those things, and those are things that are always going to be important for me. I have been able to continue to do what I do and enjoy what I do and respect what I do because I know it's worth something. It's worthy. It's worthy of being here, Yeah. And you change your mind too on a lot of things, like, I'm going to ask you a question. So, have you ever given the thought that, okay, we've had it, we're actors, we've had this conversation, and the actor in here will recognize this conversation. That actor beat me out for the role. I was in competition with that actor for the role. Who got the role? I lost out to so-and-so, right? Kill me crazy, but no one is putting a sword in your hand, and no one is putting a sword in the other actor's hand and saying, fight. And whoever wins gets the role. That's competition, right? So this idea that we've had
Write
in
that
our
down.
heads
Write that
is,
down. You writing that down? Write that down. That's good. Write that down.
that's competition, right? So when you go, I'm competing against 22 actors for this role. No, you're not. You're not. So why think that? Again, perspective, mindset, mind frame, ideology. Why are you thinking that you walked in? I'll never forget, I went in to audition for this role. It's a show called 10 Days in the Valley. It was a miniseries. 10 Days in the Valley. And I walked in, and I was there for the audition, and I walked into the waiting room, and there were 22 actors who I had seen at least 20 of their projects, right? So you're looking at an all-star team, if you will, was sitting in the waiting room, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing, right? And I thought, okay, no, I was wanted, I'm here, I'm worthy. Took a breath, and said, cool. Now, had the honor and memorable experience of having the lead of the show, who's also the producer, come out and greet me as if they knew me. Their whole lives they hadn't, but they did. And it just allowed me to, again, feel wanted and feel present and feel there. So that went away. As a result of that, I started to keep saying, will that feeling will it continue, and then it will. And so I got to this point. This is why I'm asking you. Do you compete with other actors? Right? We don't. We don't. And that's part of sustainability to me. Sustainability is to be able to build yourself an ideology, a mindset, a mind frame that says, I'm not putting on boxing gloves, I'm gonna fight that actor and see who wins, and that's how I get the part. No. I get to act. One of my closest, dearest friends, who I hold in my heart all day, every day, whenever I move through the world, said before he unfortunately passed away, he said, your only responsibility as an actor is to the part you're playing and nothing else. No other thing. So here it is. So what am I supposed to do? On Sunday afternoon, random, we never audition on Sundays, but random day that came to my mind. What are we supposed to do on Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock when I go in to audition for the role of Hamlet? My audition is from 12 to 12:15. So what is my responsibility from 12 to 12:15? My responsibility is to Hamlet. And that's it. Right? So that, just this idea of competition, it's just weird. I'm competing with you. We're not competing. We're not. So.
I think it's also healthy to hold on to the idea that what is for you will be yours. You could give every single actor in this room the same exact audition, the same objective, the same tactics, the same beats, the same places to pause and take a breath, and every single audition will feel different. Surely, maybe 80% of them will have a similar vibe, but the vessel you're in, your life perspective, all of that changes the way what you're doing is executed and also how it's received. So to get a self-tape and go, oh my God, 300 other people, because now that it's self-tapes and not 22 people, maybe it's 2,200 people, you have I once heard somebody describe self-tape auditions like shitting in a river.
Sure.
Like you did it, but you don't know how, like where it ended up.
Sure. Sure.
And I think your biggest competition, if anything, being yourself, holding yourself accountable. Did you do your best? Did you try? Were you honest? Were you Hamlet?
Yeah, you get to act.
And I got to act today, remembering to have fun, remembering why you love it. Because if you do it begrudgingly, they can see that on the tape too.
Sure.
They really can.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
knowing that it's you.
Yeah.
You do your thing, you turn it in, the rest is literally out of your hands.
Yeah.
And ultimately not your business until it's your business again.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the tricky part. The tricky part is that you can't control that, right? So just just take the shit. Right?
Yeah. Don't force it. That's not healthy.
Just take the shit.
Yeah.
Take the shit and then don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Because that kind of becomes it becomes the thing we can't control, the thing that controls us, the thing that makes us think that we're not worthy, the thing, all of these things. Because here's the other thing I think is interesting.
Lay it on us.
Right?
Yeah.
So this idea that I lost the role. It's these words, the way we say them, our bodies, our minds, they don't know the difference between subtlety and not subtlety, the body, the mind, the spirit. It doesn't, man. If you spend your whole day going, I'm a dork, and you're making fun of yourself, your body doesn't know you're making fun of yourself. The body's just going to think I'm a dork, right? So these words and these things and the way we say them, so this, I lost the job. No, you didn't lose. I got rejected. Right? I lost the job. You didn't lose the job. You lose your keys, right? You lose your wallet. You lose your shoes sometimes. But you don't lose a job. So why do you give yourself that thought? Why do you even allow that thought to be there, right? I lost the job. What's the other one? I get rejected. There's another one. Rejection. Toughen up. Because this career is about rejection. It is not. I defy anyone to pull out their phone right now and pull up the fucking Webster's Dictionary definition of rejection. It means when someone denies you. Are you being denied?
You're just not being chosen.
You're just not being chosen. And what happens when you're not being chosen? I'll go to the next one. I'll go to the next one. I'll go to the next one. I'll stay on the court the whole day if I have to until someone goes, you need a 5? Yeah, cool. And then you play a game of basketball, right? You sit around, you wait to get picked, and when you do, you play the game. And you enjoy the game when you play it because you got picked. So this idea, but it's again, it's in here. And I'm not saying that I didn't have it. I'm just saying I learned that it didn't help and I changed it.
Yeah.
It's almost 30 years in.
There's power in the tongue. I feel like that's usually said in religious spaces, but it's just exactly to what you're saying. The power of language cannot be understated. To get an audition and go, I don't know, casting hates me. They probably won't even watch this. Are you going to commit to an audition that you think no one's going to watch? Even if it's unintentional, you're probably not going to lean in the way you need to because you're assuming the first 5 seconds weren't strong enough, so it's not going to be me. It's probably going to go to some insert whoever. And it's important to be mindful, to be present in what you're doing, and to hold yourself accountable. Because there's so many limiting beliefs that are ingrained from childhood. There's so much language around the industry and around what it takes to be an actor that can put you in a cage you didn't even realize you placed yourself in. So just catch yourself. What are you saying and how true is it? And is literally what you're saying, I'm a little neurospicy, so I tend to say exactly what I mean. But a lot of people speak in riddles, parables, and metaphors.
Sure.
And he's right, your body doesn't know the difference.
Your
So,
spirit doesn't either.
ooh, what's up about it?
Your spirit doesn't either. Your spirit is seeking, uplifting. It's seeking inspiration. It's called a spirit for a reason, right? And when we give it something other than what it needs, it's gonna go cool. I learned this thing the other day that I thought was kind of freaky, because I've been, playing curiosity with my health lately. And just shit happens, and I'm like, oh, okay. At first, I'm like, oh, I'm dying. And now I'm like, well, what is that? What is that? And how do I fix it, right? But this idea, I read this fascinating thing that, so in regards to the body not knowing, right? So there are some people who believe that the body, if it thinks that there is no purpose for it, will shut down, right? Everyone goes, well, why is that? My father's 84 years old. He's 84 and he still walks up 6 flights of stairs to mop and sweep the floors. He throws out the garbage and the recycling. He's always going through shit to see rich people throw these things out. Like he's always making a joke. Look at what a rich person threw out. You want an iPhone? It's here in the garbage, right? But this idea that he has a purpose. Not that he chooses to have a purpose, but he just has a purpose, right? And that it feels like everybody's like, oh, well, maybe, and I believe it, I buy it, that sometimes that's also part of it. But this idea, and my partner and I were talking about it recently, and talking about, well, what is the purpose, right? Is purpose like, you gotta get up and you gotta do something, or is purpose what I've been playing with, which is, I think I have the opportunity to entertain people. That's a purpose, right? I have a purpose in entertainment, and allowing for entertainment to happen. Or if I'm listening hard enough, clear enough, open enough, I hear someone go, hey, do you want to come and talk to people at the Atlanta Film Festival and April 30th about, right? I'm listening. Like, ooh, that's a purpose.
I don't want to lose, there's so many gems, okay?
Go.
I don't want to lose the thread.
No, go ahead.
Earlier you mentioned getting a scholarship to go get collegiate level training in acting and feeling like it was compromising your identity, so you walked away.
Yes.
There's a lot of grandstanding about what training is reputable, what training is validating, and as an actor who is a person of the global majority, I would be curious to hear a little bit more about what that was like for you and what training kind of meant for you turned into instead if it wasn't in that space.
Sure. I was literally feeling, I'm a kid of the streets, right? I'm a street urchin. I grew up on the streets of the city. My mother was like, go and play, and right? Whereas there was never a fence, there was never a babysitter, there was never nothing there. I just also had an ear, so like when my mother was like, it's time to eat, I'd be like, right? So I did, but I was out on the streets, so I'm a kid of the streets. And what I have, unfortunately or unfortunately, is a response to someone trying to change me, trying to get me to do something, right? My kids say, hey, you want to do this? My first question is why, right? It was. So when I went to school and everything was about, okay, now we're going to spend the next hour learning how to walk across the stage. I was like, what's wrong with the way I walk, right? So I was having reactions to it. Now, again, this is where my mother is my mother. I would come home frustrated from school, from class, And she said, what's going on? And I said, well, they're trying to change the way I talk, Ma. They're trying to change the way I walk. They're trying to, and she's like, well, what do you mean? Like they don't like the way you sound? Or they, and I said, no, they're just saying that this is the way you're supposed to act. And my mother said, well, that's curious, because if it's rubbing you the wrong way, then it's not right. And if it's not right, then you shouldn't do it. And I said, yeah, but then what is it? And she said to me, well, all I can tell you, and this is where it went, she goes, all I can tell you is from my experience. And when I heard that, I went, okay. She goes, from my experience, people walk differently, people talk differently, people. And I went, what is that? What is from my experience? And that's what I was able to then glean was, and this is where I get in trouble, controversially, I believe school is detrimental to the artist. Because I believe that the only thing we need as artists is to live a life. To live life. Eyes open, ears open. I'm not saying go run out and be like, hey, this is a new drug, try it. I'm not talking about that. But what I'm talking about is going, what is this happening to me right now? I'm observing it, I'm processing it, I'm getting it, I'm understanding it. Because at the end of the day, when you get cast in a role, your character is going to require a circumstance. And you're going to need the reference for that circumstance. And the only way you're going to have that reference is if you, at some point, I played a part where I played a part where I was a drug lord, the head of a big drug cartel.
On Ozark, he's
And
very
and so the part for me was not unattainable, but I needed my references. And so I thought, I've never sold drugs, I've never run a cartel, I've never done those things. But I have worked with my father, who's had his own business, and has had to do what he's had to do to sustain his family, and to make sure that his family was taken care of. And so he would have to sit and try to figure out who the best person that he can hire is to make sure that the business goes well. That I knew. And so I thought, that's the guy I can bring. I can bring the hard-working family man who's just trying to make it work, right? So you have a beer with him before he gets on the flight. He's a great guy, he's nice. You get home, you go, oh shit, he's the head of the drug cartel, right? What meant more to me was that. So life experience. And so, yes, when I did talkbacks, when I would do regional theater, and they'd say, what advice do you have for young actors? I'd say, just go out and live life, man. Just go out and live life and process it and take it in, because you're going to need those references. Now, that is my opinion. There is a rule that says, if you go to school and you get this degree, then you get this job, right? If a lawyer passes the bar and gets too emotional in the office, he gets fired. If a doctor gets their degree and has an incredibly expressive personality at work, they tell them to pull back. So to me, that becomes my quote-unquote argument is, we're the only ones who are supposed to emote. We're supposed to be emotional, we're supposed to be explosive, we're supposed to be expressive. And the scholastic structure, to me, does not allow for that to happen. Because it's a structure, because it's a book, because it's a study, because it's an exam, because it's not emotional, right? So to me, that's sort of where I ended up having to get away from it.
I think it's really tricky to codify, to
I don't know what that word means.
force a structure around art. I think it speaks to late stage capitalism, but this idea of if I want to be an artist, I have to go to art school, and I have to be taught how to paint, and I have to be taught how to draw, or I have to be taught how to sew clothes, or I have to, because it's not an apprenticeship.
Sure.
Someone is grading you and telling you this is either adequate or inadequate.
Correct.
And I think that is dangerous.
Very.
Me, who has a master's in acting, and I didn't need to finish high school to be an actor. I also don't know a singular black person who's gotten an MFA in acting and didn't have actual like PTSD, need to heal from trauma afterwards.
Sure.
And I could say the same for a lot of BFA programs as
Sure.
well.
Absolutely.
It can be really dangerous because you're in these spaces being asked to set yourself aside.
Yeah.
But when all is said and done, multiple things, when all is said and done on the back end, the you-ness of you is what's getting you cast in these roles. The uniqueness of who you are and your perspective and your vessel, that's what's going, oh, you know, so-and-so has something.
Yeah, like what they're doing is great. I never thought about that. That's actually not how I wrote the part, but we like that.
But their perspective, and it didn't get beaten out of them.
Yeah.
Or you leave school having trained Linklater and the Meisner technique and Le Bon, and they're like, okay, can you be the funny black friend?
Yeah.
And you're like, shit, how do I get my accent back?
Absolutely. And that is it's truer than you think, love, because it's I've seen it. The first play my first production, professional production as a director, was a play called Knives and Other Sharp Objects. It was written by a fantastic writer who's now an even better actor. His name is Raul Castillo. And Raul wrote this play, and one of my theater company members was supposed to direct it. He got a job, he pulled out, I jumped in. So I'm curious to know what you think about this. So I was starting the audition process. And an actor came in who is somewhere else right now, but he is, his name was Michael Reyes Camilla, and Michael walked in and he auditioned for the part. Now the part is about a guy from Far Texas, P-H-A-R-R Texas, Far Texas, and he's running from a bunch of people that he owes money to, so he gets into a bus and he steals some clothes from these two girls who are crossing the country on bus, and he dresses up as a woman, he's protecting himself, from Far Texas. Michael Reyes Camillo was born and raised in Far Texas. He walks in and he gives the audition. And there are the producers of the Public Theater in New York City. And they go, he's not right. Right? He's not, there's something, I don't know, something. And I was like, okay, but because I'm a team player, you know, we want to, right? I said, okay, well, cool. Well, I'm not going to knock, I'm going to keep his headshot resume on the table, but who? And then they send in an actor, who shall remain nameless, walks in, and he's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And I see and he's fine actor. And I was like, oh. And then I looked down at his resume, and it says Yale on it. The Yale Mafia, right? And I looked and I went, he went to Yale. Yes, he went to Yale. The producer, yeah, he went to Yale. But I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying there was something there that I didn't know about. I don't know what that is, right? The fucking Yale Illuminati, where it's like, they all know, right? They all know something that I didn't know. So I was like, okay, cool. No, that's great. That's all good. But that's not the guy. You just saw an actor who grew up in the town where the play takes place. Like, what are we talking about here, right? And not to boot, he was also excellent in the part. I burned my bridge with the Public Theater because I said you either hire him or you get another director, and so they let him have the part. He won an award for the role. He's no longer with us. He's holding it up in heaven where he is. But yes, this idea that the structure, the NYU, Yale, Juilliard, I don't know, the only thing I know about going to that is that everyone I've ever met is still in debt.
Well, let's talk about it. So to be fair, two things can be true at once, because I can also very confidently say that I would not have had the trajectory I've had if not for the training I also have.
Sure. It opened doors.
Because well, I don't know. I went to UConn. I don't think anybody gives a fuck about that school. But, thank you. But it gave me the skill set in spaces where the experience might not have been there all the way. So I can anecdotally real quick. There's a day, you can go back and pull this footage on the set of Black Lightning, where I was absolutely having a panic attack the entire time. And my eyes are kind of like glazed over, but I could say my lines, and I knew not to look directly into the camera, and I could connect
Gotcha.
with the people that I was talking to,
Gotcha.
because some of that had become rote, some of that had become so ingrained.
The technical element.
The
of it.
technical stuff
Sure.
was valuable,
Sure.
but at what cost? Because you can also do things piecemeal, and people feeling like they need to go to university to train can keep people from stepping into it altogether. And I just really love, as we kind of move past this point, I really appreciate your perspective on this, because the life experience speaks volumes to how you can embody somebody else's lived experience.
Sure, you got
That's
it.
not just on a page. That's not just in a textbook. You can go back and forth and repeat with somebody for 6 months in a Meisner intensive. But also, going and sitting in the park every day will teach you a lot about people.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
and I digress.
No, you don't. You don't. You hit it. You're hitting the nail right on the head. You sustain a career in this industry by letting life teach you, inform you, educate you, by not denying it. But even when it's awful, especially when it's awful, because the things that we love to watch the most are when people are in shitty circumstances, right? But you won't know how to be in a shitty circumstance if you take a shitty circumstance in life and go, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to deny that, right? I'm not saying, again, go bananas. I'm just saying don't deny it. Allow it to be part of your life, part of your experience, part of your reference, so that you then have it to call upon as an actor, you know? Ask me another question.
Yeah, this might be a 180. You grew up in LA, I mean in New York. Did you
Yeah.
ever consider LA?
Yeah. We lived there for 6 years, 6.5 years. I went out there when I was 43. So New York City from birth to 43. And then look at a 43-year-old man. We drove from Times Square to Santa Monica Pier. And then the first time I landed, I was like, I'm here, I'm gonna go get a beer. I walked in and I walked into some first bar I saw in Santa Monica, and I was like, how you doing? Let me get a beer. That person looked at me like I had said something rude. And I went, yeah, just give me a beer, I'll take a Budweiser. Came over, they put the beer down. I was like, what did I drink? And then I called my buddy Gary Perez, who's been living in LA at that time for about 20 years from the Bronx. And I said, Gary, what's going on? He said, what? I said, I just went in, I went to get a beer. The lady looked at me like I had 3 heads. He goes, well, what'd you do? I said, I just walked in. I said, how you doing? Let me get a beer. And he went, oh, Felix. Repeat after me. And I went, okay. And he goes, hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? That's a great shirt you're wearing. That's a great shirt you're wearing. Do you guys have a beer menu I can look at? And I went, wait a minute. So, but that's because I was 43 years old when I went, right? But here's what I will say, because there is, I do hold a little soft spot in my heart for that part of the industry, that area of the industry, because one, it has been kind to me. And it has also been rude, but it has also been kind. And it's also, my partner also has family there, and so I want to always keep an open piece of my heart there for that city. The hardest thing I had, here's what I'll say about LA. My father said to me, you know what the problem with LA is? My dad never acted a day in his life, but he knows everything about it. He goes, here's the problem with LA. In New York, when you're out of a job, you're hustling. In LA, when you're out of a job, you're on vacation. Because what do you do when you don't work in LA? You go to the beach. You go on a hike. You find a friend who has a swimming pool. So you're doing things that you do when you're on vacation. And I was kind of like, maybe Dad, whatever, until the first time that I had an audition. And I was like, you know what? I got nothing to do today. I'm going to go to the beach and study my lines at the beach. And I'm sitting there, and I get to the beach, and I park the car, and the sun is, and I'm like, that's a beautiful sunset. And I'm like, those fucking mountains. And wow, ain't this the life? And I never once picked up my sides. So, LA for me is a tricky place, but it's also, it's also where where dreams come true, you know? There's that weird saying, yeah, there's always that weird saying, in New York, you're one job away from being a respected artist, and in LA, you're one job away from being a millionaire, right? That's sort of a thing, but yeah.
So what made you leave LA and go back to New York?
I got hired to do this job in Georgia, in Atlanta. It was a five season series.
We're back to Ozark again.
That was, yeah, no, we had to come here. We had to come here during the pandemic. I was coming back and forth to do the first couple of episodes. We were coming back and forth. But then when we went into the fourth and fifth seasons, they were like, and that's a story that will always fill my heart with love for another actor, because, well, Laura Linney called me and she said before they announced that they were going to continue, Laura called me out of the blue and said, listen, you didn't hear it from me, but they're going to need you. So don't be shy. And it bought me my home.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah.
That's just an actor. That's an actor who knows acting and knows the journey of the actor and is the real deal. I don't know anyone else. I've been doing this. I'm going to tell a story about Laura Linney. So Laura would insist to be on the phone with me. Every time that my character was on the phone, she was on the other line.
It wasn't a stand-in.
Never once. She's in LA on a break. I'm here, 4-hour time difference. Didn't matter. I was in Puerto Rico at one point working on something. Didn't matter. I went straight to the hotel room. I was like, yep, I'm right here, love. Here we go. You ready? She was always insistent on being on the phone with me on the other end of that line. So those scenes that you see Omar Navarro talking, he is talking to Wendy Bird. He is not talking to anyone else. So that's Laura Linney.
And are you still based in Atlanta?
I do. I own a home here. I do. I'm proud, actually, to say that I live here, because it's one thing to relocate because you have to, and then it's another thing to relocate because you wanted to. And I'm a city kid. I'm never not going to be a city kid like my dad. I'm gonna be. I'll have a place to live and sleep in New York for the rest of my life. But there was something about being like, part transparency, what was coming my way and what was being offered were two different things. And so I had to take that into consideration. But also the fact that last week I was sitting in my backyard listening to birds and looking at trees and watching the hawks fly overhead, and I thought, I was born and raised on the streets of New York. And here I am laying here with a dog running around.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel like the quality of life Atlanta provides, it's worth being here trying to build up your resume versus the slog and struggle of sharing a bedroom with 3 other people in LA.
Correct.
Now, of course, to your point, that anecdote about what is it, one job away from being a respected artist, one job away from being a millionaire, 10 years in Atlanta, maybe they're actually going to pay you guest star rate, top of show. 10 years in LA, you're auditioning for series regular with a good chance.
Yeah.
And I think that becomes a difference, but the quality of life is not.
Well, let me riddle me
I'm
this,
curious,
Batgirl.
yeah.
Riddle me this, Batgirl. The experience that I have seen and I have shared with others who are actors who are here is that, unfortunately, sometimes, and I don't know why this happens, so I'm not bringing it up with an opinion or a stance on it. I just want to put it out. That I have had conversations with artists who have said that sometimes productions in cities are looking to other cities for their talent, when their talent is right here, right? And we have to go, hey, 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 look right here, I'm right here, you know? Because they go, oh, well, sure, clearly, the talent's only in New York and then LA. And so there's been a little bit of, I'm just curious, because I've had that conversation with many actors here in Atlanta, where they've been like, yeah, you got hired out of New York, Felix, and I was like, yeah, I did get hired out of New York, or out of LA, but this idea that what is that worth, or what is that about, is something that I've been curious about, you know? I've just been super curious about that why is it that a city has to go this way like this, instead of going, we're gonna go here with it, but that's a different fucking conversation, you know what I mean?
Which is fair, because when I tell you I was about to dive in, when I tell you I was
Yeah, it's a different conversation.
I want to pull up and talk about it.
I know.
But it is
I know.
something that is deeply frustrating for lots of local artists, especially when they will cast local, still out of New York or LA. People
Yeah.
will take the L and
Yeah,
buy a Spirit flight and come say their one line.
sure.
Or people are moving here, saturating the market because it's supposed to be easier in
Sure.
Atlanta, but
It's not.
it's not.
It isn't.
Um,
Yeah.
But yeah, we could get a
that's
beer.
just something to think about. But also, yeah, I mean, if you guys want to ask questions too, I don't want to deny you guys any
I do have
conversation
a
in any
couple
way.
more questions.
Oh, okay. I don't
But
know
I
where
wanna,
we're at, so I don't
who do
wanna-
I ask? This ends at 3 or 3:30?
3. Oh, we're
Oh.
good, we're good. We
Is
got
it
that.
3?
3.
Oh, okay, bet. I thought this was 3:30. So yes, this is actually a perfect time to turn out
Unless you
here.
want to ask something, no, you good? I don't want to deny you any.
No, I mean, we can have a beer and talk about, you know,
Let's-
all the things.
let's- let's,
It's fine. We can,
Let's let the people talk.
yeah. So question over here.
Hello, what's up, Felix? How you doing? Chris
What's up,
Green,
Cham?
fellow actor and New Yorker, so nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
I know you're part of Labyrinth, great company out there.
Yeah, it's my
Been
family.
fortunate to deal with a lot of actors from out there. Sense of community obviously is strong with them. Do you feel that sense of community when you were in LA and when you were here versus how it is in New York as far as amongst actors? Like, yeah, friendly competition, but you
Sure.
know, like back home in New York is like very supportive of each other.
Sure.
Do you get that same vibe here? Do you get that same vibe when you were in LA?
I will say this, to be very frank. LA, no. Georgia, I'm building it. I'm building it. Because one of the things that I realized, that my partner and I have had extensive conversations about this, about like, why don't we feel artistic here? And it just kind of comes down to being like, yo, you got to look for it, right? So we got to look, where are those theater companies at? I found a spot on Decatur, North Decatur Road. I was like, what is that? Oh, a little theater company. Let's go check it out. Like, so we're building that, and not building it. We're searching for it and we're looking for it. Whereas in LA, I didn't feel like I could, one, and two, I wanted to, right? LA for me was work. But yeah, there's that, you know, because I know it's there. I know it is. Like, I was telling my partner the other day, I was like, maybe about a month ago or so, I said, listen, why are we not doing readings of plays at our house? Like, why can't we just read this play, and let's read that play, or what's a play you like and you want to read? Let's read that. Well, we don't know where the actors are in Georgia. So then I said, well, then we got to start looking, and we got to start building them. Yeah,
So
you
actually,
know.
I can say very briefly, if you are new to the city or just don't feel like you have a community, there are several acting studios where the community is really nice and built in. Of course, there are opportunities like working title playwrights where there's play readings constantly. So I'll connect you with them if you're curious at all. But there's also, I just heard about something where every week there's a theme they give you and you have to make like a mini short film. And then you go and like, what is it called? KTL? Is that? Kick the ladder.
Kick the ladder.
Kick the ladder, yeah. So
Kick the ladder.
there are so many things and ways for you to find people. Atlanta is the kind of place where someone who's in your same category, someone who's the same type, might actually have the same audition, will still read with you to self-tape it, and won't sabotage you actively when it's happening. So know that even if it can feel isolating, new city, super spread out, there are people here who will cheer you on and are rooting for you, even if you might be their competition. So it's there, it exists. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Okay, I'm also a New York-based actress. I'm Delaney.
Hi, Delaney.
I want to ask two questions lumped together. Earlier, you were talking about how nobody's in competition with each other. What's meant for you won't pass you by. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think we have to do that if we want to live this life as actors. But my first question, there's some times where you're so close, you're so close, or you're called back again and again and again, and you don't get it. How have you been able to sustain and kind of like pick yourself up again? I mean, I know there's some practices I work through. And then also, kind of taking agency in your own career. I know you will walk into a room with 22 other heavy hitters. I feel like a lot of actors I know in New York who've been in the industry for a long time tell me stories about how they've reached out to directors and said, let me audition for this. Do you have stories from both of those situations?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. But part A, I will offer you what Mom would have said. What do you want to do about it? So you didn't get the part, but what do you want to do about that? Right? As opposed to anything else. I mean, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do about that? Right? I know it sounds fucking Buddhist in its way, but it's, what are you gonna do, right? How do I choose to see this? How do I choose to see how close I got to this part, right? Now, I don't try to get close to the part. I play the part the way I would play the part if you asked me to play the part. So by the time I'm done, I'm done. And getting close for me is a hold. It's a hold. It's a grip that you're doing, that we are doing. And maybe if we don't grip the part as hard as we grip it, then we won't be so close. We will have just given it what we wanted to give it, and we're done. Our job is done. And I promise you, because I've done that, and then if you get the job, it's more enjoyable, right? It's more enjoyable. Because when you're so close and you get it, you go, I got it. Is there that, or I got it? Which one of those two would you rather feel? For me, I'd rather feel the, oh shit, I got it, oh, let's go, right? So I share that, one. Part B, remind me real quick, because I want to make sure that I answered to your point.
So basically, like in a situation where you know somebody is putting on something that you're interested in
Yes.
auditioning for.
Yes.
or
Yes.
being
Yes. Yes.
considered for,
Yes.
taking that agency as an actor.
Yeah. So a long time ago, there was this film called El Cantante that was made about Hector Lavoe, who's a salsa singer who brought salsa to New York, and the history of it. Mark Anthony and Jennifer Lopez were the leads at the time when they were doing the movie. And there's a part of a trumpet player in that, a Fania all-star trumpet player, and I loved him, and he just recently passed away. Anyway, I wanted to play him. So I did everything that I possibly could. I got a friend with a VHS camera, because this was way back then, and he recorded me doing it, and then I put the tape and a letter I wrote to Liani Chasso, the director, and I went to the production. I found out where it was, and I left it there, and I put it there with him and all of this stuff, and it was like cool, and I was like, great, I did it, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna keep doing that, who else can I talk to? Yeah, you push, you push, you push. And then I didn't hear anything, and then about a couple months later, I get the package back in the mail, returned to sender. They hadn't even never opened my video. They had never opened any of it, right? And that experience taught me one thing, which was, you gotta be willing to let it go, right there, like right at that point. Be willing to let it go. I will say though, and this is tricky, don't get mad at me. But I want to believe that less percentage happens, but I'm having a hard time believing it. That we push and we're not ready. That we ask and we're not ready. That all we're doing is getting the chase. But the drive to play the part, if it truly is the drive to just play the part, then putting yourself on tape, auditioning for it, should satiate it. But if it's not, then it's not about getting the part. It's about getting the part, right? And that drive has nothing to do with the part. So again, it's perspective, right? I don't give a shit. I'm gonna get that guy to give me that audition. If it's the lie, it has nothing to do with the part now, right? It has nothing to do with the part. Now it has to do with, right? The control, the addiction, the drive, the hunt, the thing, which is all great, but it's not.
Sustainable. That's it, everybody. We just ended on such a high note. Anybody not from New York? I'm just kidding. So many people. Kurt, I'd love to throw this to you. I'm gonna run to the bathroom.
Go.
Sorry.
Hi, Felix.
Hi.
Thanks for being here. Hi, Adetinpo. Thank you for being here as well. My question for you,
Go.
Felix, is over the years, how have you found ways to advocate for, fight for what you're worth from a contractual standpoint, as your career has progressed? I love the story about Laura Linney giving you the heads up, like they're going to need you, don't be shy. I'd be curious if you hadn't gotten that heads up, like how would that have played out? So have you kind of leaned on your team for that, or were you really taking things into your own hands when you?
Well, yes. Oh, sorry, I'm going to let you finish.
No, go ahead.
My manager, who my partner affectionately calls my pit bull, has a saying. She says to me all the time, every job, "Are you willing to lose the part?" She's always telling me that. She says, "Are you willing to lose the part?" And I go, "No." Then she negotiates from that perspective. If I say yes, then she negotiates from that perspective. But I have to be willing to lose the job in order to take the step that I'm supposed to take. Am I supposed to take that step? Am I not? Can I just, make scale every day for the rest of my life and be happy? Maybe, I don't know. But to answer your question directly, you got to be willing to lose the job, man. You got to be willing to walk away, and then that's it. I think that's the only thing that is the make or break. Everything else sort of is a conversation, but the rest of it is, give me this, or get another person. So you got to be willing to lose the job. Yeah. Yeah. Hi.
Hi, I'm Haley.
You're so close.
I'm so close, right here. Nice to meet you. Thank
Nice
you
to
for
meet you as
sharing
well.
everything. I love talking about mindset. So what's your advice on avoiding burnout?
Avoiding burnout. Shit, I've never burned out. You know what? I'll tell you what it is. It's the same shit that is for everything in life. Eat well, get rest, breathe. Like, it genuinely is all of the things that we need to just not burn out in life in general is the same thing here. It really is. The burnout, when you say burnout, the first thing that came to my mind was acting too much. But that's not burnout because you're doing what you want to do, right? So what is burnout? Acting too much and then getting burnt out means that you're just not taking care of yourself.
Well, if
So
I
you're
could
just not-
piggyback on that
Yeah.
question.
I don't know, I just stay healthy, like hydrate. Seriously, I'm not even fucking around. Like hydrate, get some sleep, you know, don't have the shitty food before the day you shoot. Like, I don't know, like really genuinely take care of yourself. And that doesn't allow for a burnout to even be an option, I think. Yeah.
To kind of build on that, I'm curious too on your thoughts.
Yeah.
I often, also thank you for the grace of letting me go to the bathroom. I'm often talking to students about being an actor not being their whole personality,
Mhm.
that they need to have more that is making them rich.
Sure.
Emotionally, socially, spiritually.
Sure.
And I'm curious what you do outside of acting
Bro,
that is keeping
straight
you
up.
full, because I imagine that helps with no burnout.
Straight up, I'm just a dude who happens to act. I can't be more accurate about that.
Yeah.
Like, I do so much shit that has nothing to do with acting. I play records, I buy comic books, I collect toys, I play with my dog, I do so many civilian things that don't allow for me to, yes, to just be like, although I will say, I do try every day to do something that is, for lack of a better word, actorish. But no, I genuinely, like, if, I kid you not, I don't think, the only time I get are you a musician? Like, that's the only thing I get sometimes. So, you feel like, I don't know, you strike me like a musician. I go, no. But I know I would trade it all in to be like lead singer for Guns N' Roses or whatever. But still, the idea is that, yeah, no, I don't, and that's because I come from parents that are not. And I come from just hard-working, street-level people that I, you know, that I don't think I have it in me to, well, I don't want to say that and sound crazy, but maybe I will say it. I don't think I have it in me to say that I'm an actor. I don't have it in me. I'm a dude who happens to act. I'm just a guy who happens to act. So.
I want to unpack that, but we should let more people ask, ask questions. You choose, this is,
Go, yeah, you're right there.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to meet you guys.
Hey.
This is for both, piggybacking back to the perspective
Sure.
that we're having, because it feels like that is really important for staying sustainable in
Absolutely.
in this industry. When you recognize that you have the not so good perspective of like, I'm just doing the drive, I'm just doing the chase, how, like I can recognize, okay, I want to get out of it. How have you gotten out of it? How do you shift to
Yeah.
get back to, okay, I'm loving this, and I'm not just like competing?
I'm also a person who just happens to be an actor. I found myself today so excited to garden on Monday because I'm gonna have time to like go outside and like, because it's been raining and I'm like, oh my God, my flowers need, you know. So it's not my whole thing. I'm not buying clothes going, oh, this would be good for an audition, or like, oh, this would be, is this one of my colors for my headshots? It's just something I happen to do. Can you ask your question again?
Oh, yeah, just of the perspective, like how do you shift from doing the, I'm chasing, I'm doing this like drive maybe for not the reason that I started off, especially in the starting stage where like I have a different job to support me, this is something I am feeling like I'm hustling for, but I don't want to buy into hustle culture.
Yeah.
So how do you do that shift?
I guess the last sentence I'll say on it is also being mindful of what control you actually have. Because I think people are like, I'm gonna get an audition and they're gonna see me and they're gonna see that I'm so good and I'm gonna say my one line and then next week it's gonna be me and Leo leading a movie. But that trajectory doesn't exist, and I don't know that you'd be prepared for that opportunity the next week. So I think knowing that this is a marathon and not a sprint will make it more sustainable, because you need to be able to pace yourself. What does this look like in 5, 10, 15 years? The hustle of trying to become an actor at 22 does not feel the same at 32. It really does, because then you're looking down the barrel and you're like, health insurance? Do I want to buy a house? Can I afford kids? Do I want to get married? Is there anybody to date? Like, you know, there are other things. So all right, I've answered. Go.
Yeah, no, I think the fact that you recognize that you're chasing, you're halfway there, right? I know it sounds so simple, doesn't it? But it's true. People are like, well, why the fuck does my back hurt? It's because you're trying to carry too much shit, right? But if you don't pay attention to the back, you won't know that it hurts, you break your back. So just the fact that you are able to say, I think I'm pushing too much, you're halfway there, right? And what I want to challenge you with is a joyful curiosity as to what happens next. Right? I'm pushing too much. This is too much. I'm just fucking going crazy over here. What's a fun way to change it? Just allow yourself to be joyfully curious in a moment, and I know I'm older than you. I promise you. It'll work. Right? Because what's the option? What's the other option? Do something else, right?
There's agency.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Hi.
Hi, thank you for being here, Bernadette Duffin
Hi,
from
Bernadette. Hi, Phil.
And my two favorite shows on ABC are The Rookie and Will Trent. So, okay, I was in episode 1 of Pluribus, and I still feel like I'm building credits and all that, and so I have two questions. One, what is your best advice for people, actors, when they're on set? And two, because you live here, do you have to fly yourself out to LA for The Rookie, or do they do that? I don't know.
Yeah, no, both. Sometimes they'll take care of it. Sometimes I have to take care of it. Yeah. So to answer the second part first, and I'm okay with that, which I think is more important than anything, is to be okay with how it works out, because I get to act. The first part. Okay, so, real quick. That first job I was telling you about, the New York undercover job, okay. There's a beautiful tradition in the industry where, like, you know, when you wrap an episode or something, your AD will say, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap, and then everyone gives you a round of applause, and it's really heartwarming, and it's just something I had never experienced before. My first job, New York undercover, I had never experienced that before. And so they announced it. I finished. I was done. The AD announced it, and I was about to take it all in, and then one of the leaders of the show jumps onto a chair and starts going, "Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Thank you," and steals my first time at a curtain call. Is stolen by another actor. Stolen, interrupted, changed, and I thought, "Woof, that's crazy town." Second job, I'm doing my first episode of Law & Order. I'm playing a ballistics expert. I have to shoot a gun into a tank, fish the bullet out, take the bullet, put it into a microscope, look into the microscope, all the while telling the two detectives, leads of the show. So the trajectory was that it came southwest through the window, right, all of that, Law & Order stuff, while I'm scooping up a little bullet, like it was literally a bullet, and I couldn't get it. I just couldn't get it. The lead actor goes, "Hey, everyone, relax. Give him a shot. This is hard work. You're asking him to pull the bullet out and do the thing and all the while saying, it's hard. So unless you want to get up here and do it, relax. I don't want to hear huffing. I don't want to hear puffing. Give him a shot, okay?" And then he looked at me and said, "You can do this, bud." My second experience in television, right? So I'm going to answer your question by saying, you go to work with a level of gratitude that is beyond television, that is beyond recognition, that is beyond fame, that is beyond money, that is beyond talent. You go to work with a level of gratitude that says that I am worthy of being here, and I am worthy of sharing my art, and that this is exciting, and that's okay. Because I know my lines, because I'm ready, because I'm rested, because I've said yes, please, and thank you. It's simple, but I am most I did a thing real quick. I did a thing called The Bookie, a show called The Bookie. I played one scene, it was a great little thing. My scene partner was Charlie Sheen. I got to work and I ignorantly thought, oh, it's Charlie Sheen, I better be careful, let me see, I don't know who I'm gonna get, all of the stories I read, right? The guy couldn't have been nicer. He showed up and he went, hey, are you Felix? Oh, we're doing it. Hi, I'm Charlie. Okay, so we're going to do the scene. So, do you want to run lines? I was like, fuck yeah. Okay, cool. So, and you'll come in, and then, it's funny, right, with this thing, and then the gun, and I was like, that's Charlie Sheen. That level of joy and first-timer, kid at a candy store, and it's Charlie Sheen. And kindness, and I thought, woo. So I go to work like that. I go to work like a kid in a candy store, even if I'm putting a bullet in a person's head. So, no.
Got that question all the way
Yeah,
back there?
Hi, Felix.
Last
Thank you
one.
so much for being here.
Hi.
Across your decades-long career, has your sustainability as an actor ever involved taking a break from acting?
Yes, when acting takes a break from me. Yeah, right? Because when acting goes, you know what? You're not going to act for the next 6 months. I go, okay, cool. What am I going to do next? But yes, consciously, when I go, I'm going to take a break, I don't view myself as an actor in that regard, so I don't do the, okay, I'm going to take a vacation. It's time to take a vacation. If I'm not acting, I'm not acting. So those are my breaks. My breaks are when the universe goes, you're not acting right now. Yeah. I know that sounds weird, but it's the truth. I'm not gonna sit up here and blind and be like, yeah, no, I take a vacation after every job. No. If I'm not acting, I'm not acting. Instead, I'm hanging out with my little Bubby Jojo.
One of my questions was
Oh,
going to
pity.
be, in between these times,
Yeah.
what are you doing to sustain yourself, at least historically, outside of theater?
Yeah, well, that's where the guy who happens to act comes in, right? But also because I have such an incredible partner in my life who shares my life with me, that she has been able to put us in a situation where being in between jobs is not a fear. It's not a stress. It's not a hustle. What it is a comfortable, patient wait for the next thing to come along. So yeah.
What brings you joy?
A couple of things. The first thing that comes to my mind is the sound of a baby laughing. Brings me joy. Music brings me joy. My little one, JoJo dancer, she's a half pity, half Frenchie mix. She'll get down on her head and then she'll literally belly flop right in front of me like this, just wide open, and I get inside of it. That brings me joy. Laughter brings me joy. Smiles bring me joy. Yeah.
I think we have time for one more question. I see
Yeah.
somebody back here.
Yeah.
I know you're a dude who acts, but I also know you're a dude who has made films before.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, is there a director's work or a filmmaker's work that you continue to come back to that you cherish? And also, as an actor, is there a role or something or a theme you'd like to explore you may have not yet had the opportunity?
You know what? I want to play a priest. I've never played a priest. and the ideology in the world and the discipline and the study and the mastery of religion and spirituality and all of those things, I think it would be something super exciting to dive into. Do you know Tom Tykwer? Do you know who Tom Tykwer is? Run Lola Run, German director. His work is ridiculous. He did a thing called Perfume, which was an incredible film. He was kind enough, and I was lucky enough to be in a film with him called The International. And this guy makes really beautiful movies. There's one other director who, of course, her name is flying right out of my head. As soon as I thought about her name, she's the one who just directed she's the one who takes dance breaks during her filming. This woman is making amazing art. Chloe Zhao, the one who directed Hamnet. She's making beautiful work. Just beautiful work, yeah. She's in my world. Yeah.
I
Yeah?
want to ask you,
Yeah.
what advice have you gotten over the course of your career, similar to this question, that you have continually gone back to, that has kind of refilled your cup?
My one of my dearest friends, dearest friends, Phil, said to me, we were doing a production. He was Philip Seymour Hoffman. He was directing. He was artistic director of my theater company, and we were doing a production of a show called Our Lady of 121st Street, and we had done our small run, and then we were just given a commercial run, and everyone had signed on board and gone on board to do the commercial run. I was the last actor in the cast to say yes to the commercial run of it, and it was because I was ignorantly thinking that maybe I could get a pilot or something. So I was just keeping myself open, and he called me and he said, he used to call me Flex. Flex, it's Phil. And I said, yeah. He goes, hey man, are you doing Our Lady? You're not going to do it? What are you doing? And I said, no, I'm just thinking about my agent said I should look out for a pilot, whatever. And he said, oh, yeah, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? He said. And I said, what do you want to... I said, what? He goes, what do you want to... And I said, well, I want to act, brother. I want to act. He goes, well, I'm asking you to act. I'm asking you to act, man. He got really mad at me. And I said, okay. So whenever someone asks me to act, I say yes. And that bit of advice was something that's always stood with me when he told me that my only responsibility as an actor is to the role I'm playing and nothing else. When I discovered that here's a great bit of advice. To finish that thought from Phil. Phil was the one who helped me see that the reason why I was struggling with my acting as a process was because I was looking for something on the inside. I was looking for I was looking for the objective that we all hear about, right? As actors, we go, what's your objective? What does your character want? That's never worked for me. What he helped me discover was that it's about doing something to the other person. It's what I'm doing to the other person that's more important than what I want. And when I discovered that that's always going to continue to be something that came to my mind. But here's my mother said to me once, if you're going to choose to do this for the rest of your life, then you have the rest of your life to do it. Right? That's been a big piece of advice that I've carried through for my whole life, ever since I was a little boy. And I said, I want to do that. I think I want to do this, Ma. Let's do this. She said, okay, well, if you want to do this for the rest of your life, then you have the rest of your life to do it. So that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you guys for hanging out, showing up.
Yes, how can we keep
I
up
told
with
Lisa,
you?
I was like, yeah, there's gonna be like 3 people in that room. I'd be like, all right, that's gonna be a 3-person conversation.
And it was going to be a dope conversation no matter what.
Yeah.
How do we keep up with you? Where can we find you? Where's the way?
I'm only on Instagram. It's Felix A. Solis on Instagram.
And it's Felix the cat.
Felix the cat.
That's
yeah,
actually
the
him.
little symbol is Felix the cat. And then we have our company, our Subway Token Films is our production company, where me and Lisa made a couple shorts, and we're working on getting better at pushing. I guess I'm an old school in that way that I'm not good with social media, but that's where I'm at. Yeah.
We will keep up with you on social media. The
Yeah.
amount of gems that you shared. Thank you for sharing yourself, your thoughts. Also, shout out to your mom for being a real one.
Yeah.
This was amazing. So grateful.
Thank you guys.
I made the right choice by not being the one to run this conversation, right? Those of you who know me are like, it's okay. I know that. I know that about myself. Thank you guys. What I want to remind you is that I know you're going to want to mob him at the stage. You can't do that because we need to turn it over for the next panel. But if you are an actor, if you want to know more about acting, small budgets, big roles. This is a SAG-AFTRA sponsored panel talking about, there's all these independent filmmakers here, like, right, how many, you're here, so obviously there's not enough work for you, you're here in this room. There's a lack of huge big budget work that has been here the last, 5-10 years, but you're getting those smaller roles in those bigger things, maybe a day, a couple of days. But independent film, we don't pay you a lot. Sometimes we pay you in food and love, and sometimes not even love, and sometimes not even food. But if you are compelled to be an actor, there are independent filmmakers who need great actors and will give you juicy roles if you find the right people. So I really recommend that you go to that panel so you can learn about those opportunities. There are 3 filmmakers with films in the festival that work with SAG-AFTRA, so you'll hear about it from the producer standpoint and actors standpoint, actors who have been in independent films, so I strongly recommend you go to that. And there's all kinds of other great stuff that you just need to look at on the website. So thank you for being here. Have a lovely rest of your day. Huge round of applause for you.